A very warm welcome to you, our amazing viewers. This is Issues in the News on 9 News Nigeria. My name is Isibo Doite, your regular presenter. And of course, you know that Issues in the News is that flagship program that seeks to bring you topical issues making rounds our dear nation. In today's edition, we will be looking at 2027 and the many things unfolding. Of course, you know I don't do this alone. In the studio, I have three heavyweights to do justice in today's edition. I have to my immediate right, Engineer Adaji. He is an active member of the APC, as well as the APC Organizing Secretary. He's also the President and Coordinator of the G37 Coalition. You're welcome, sir.
It's nice being here again.
To my second right, I have the pleasure of introducing Honorable Dr. Ojukwu. He is a Doctor of Economics. He's also the Chairman of the Vant Group of Companies. He's a seasoned politician and a one-time governorship aspirant of Anambra State under the YDP. Sir, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
With me in the studio also to x-ray today's edition of the topic we have before us, we have Barrister Samuel Ihesinke Jr. He is a human rights lawyer and also a very strong activist. Barrister, you're welcome.
It's good to be here again. It's good to after a very long while.
Yes.
End of the house.
In Nigeria's political landscape, party defection have almost become a tradition. Powerful figures routinely drifting towards the APC in search of survival and influence. Yet, a surprising twist has arose with the emergence of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. Gentlemen, Engineer Daji, the renewed hope, is it really renewing at this point, this particular point where we are?
Well, thank you very much. It is evident that the renewed hope is actually renewed. And of course, there is hope in the renewed hope. Let me say that it's nice having me in the studio this afternoon. I want to start by, first and foremost, thank Nigerians for having on board President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Whichever direction you look at it, of course, there is an adage in my language that says, if you're on this side of the river, you look at the people on the other side of people on the other side of the river. And of course, they will be looking at you as people from this other side of the river. So whichever divide you stand, one thing that is very common to each and every one of us is that we have a Nigeria. And of course, we have a Nigeria to salvage. You know, politics is dynamic. I've had this to tell people. When the president came on board about 3 years ago, the first thing that greeted Nigerians was the removal of fuel subsidy. It was not in that alone. All the presidential hopefuls then had this particular arrangement. They had this calculation. Once I become president, the first thing that will come on board is to remove the fuel subsidy. Fuel then rose to as much as 1,000 plus, about 1,001, 1,002 in some cases. And of course, the cry of Nigerians were heard.
Okay, let me pause you there. Honorable Dr. Ojukwu, do you think our hope is renewed so far?
I don't think so. With some few points, I don't want to talk politically. I want to talk specifically on the economics or the economic matters and how it has translated into the lives of the common people in our country. You see, I respect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but there are some political calculations or decisions that his government had undertaken, and it has caused a lot of problems. Today, an average Nigerian struggles to survive, to eat. A lot of businesses in this country struggle to remain in business, all because of wrong political calculation.
All right, let's hear from Barrister Samuel Ihesinke Jr.
Yes, I think I support my friends here. I align with him.
Which of them, please?
Dr. Ojukwu.
So you feel our hope is not renewed so far?
I speak for the civil society. for the larger passive. I'm a member of the passive and active civil society. I also speak for a lot of people who are on the streets of Nigeria. I also speak for a lot of citizens. I interact with them. We go on sensitization visits with them, NGO meetings with them. The truth about it is that the present APC-led government, they have not met the expectations of a lot of Nigerians. There's nothing renewed about the hope. It's actually a battered hope. We don't need to try to paint things. We need to, if we really want to go on with life in Nigeria, if we really want to confront our challenges, if we want to surmount the problems ahead of us, we need to be sincere to ourselves and tell these people who are in charge, the enablers of our governance, that their calculations, their style of governance is not aligning and not meeting the very need of the very down of the very people who they are supposed to govern. And there are a lot of things that are to be said about these whole issues. Not to take it from them, there are one or 2%, 3% improvement they are made from the former regain.
So, Barrister Heseke, you have said the hope is battered, not renewed.
It's not renewed.
All right. Engineer Daji, we understand that the APC has withdrawn the sole candidacy for 2027. How true is this?
Well, that is more or less, I look at it as a fiction. It's just the imagination of those who perhaps may have come up with that. But that isn't the issue. I am here as not just an advocate of APC, but as a Nigerian that also buys from the common market. So I needed to have speak to the issue of battered hope that is spoken. I like when we come to a studio like this, we speak to truth. We say the way it is so that Nigerians can understand better. Those who may not have the opportunity to know exactly the way it's happening and what is happening should be able to, understand.
But sir, are you hearing that Nigerians are crying?
Calm down. That is why we need to educate them, rightly, not wrongly. Let me come. I am also buying from the same market all Nigerians are buying from. First, I was trying to come up with a particular fact. When the fuel subsidy was removed by the president, the Nigerian Labour Congress went on the street. They were everywhere, telling Nigerians that is a direction in the wrong way. I mean, that it was a movement in the wrong direction. Now, the question here is this. Fuel price rose to about 1,200. That was where I was coming from. And at a point, the president was decisive enough to say, look, we need to come up with CNG buses, of course, to ensure that CNG's issues were put in place. That started. As we speak today, fuel prices have dropped to about 800. Nigerians, the taxi drivers, the
In
transport
Nigeria
owners,
or Togo?
hold on, sir. The transport owners who rose their transport fares, let me take for instance from Kubwa to town to about 1,200 or 1,000 thereabout, when the fuel prices were about 1,000 plus thereabout. Today, fuel prices have dropped to 890, 870. You can go around all the filling stations. If it's up to 900, call me whatever name you want to call me. It's about 890. I bought this morning. I've bought from several filling stations. The CNG vehicles are all here. Most of the vehicles were giving CNG free of charge to fix into their vehicles. How much does it take for them to fuel their vehicle with CNG gases? Now, today, the same transporters have not dropped their fuel hike from what it were when the fuel price was about 1,000 plus to a minimum representation of what the fuel price is today and what it is by using the CNG vehicles. Now, the question is, who is punishing who? Nigerian Labour Congress is watching. They have not taken any decision having the Nigerian Transport of Road Workers under their organization. They have not seen any reason to rise against that inhuman treatment. And once the transport fare had not dropped, of course, the issue of economy we are discussing here, issue of buying and selling and for common persons on the street, will not be realized because transportation is one of the main, vehicle that drives every other goods and services into the hinterland when they have them from their farms or from their various businesses. So for me, I try to tell us each time we discuss issues like this that let us take it from the basis. Yes, there was fuel subsidy removal. Yes, at the point it was very high. Today it is dropping. As it's dropping, Transportation should also drop. And as it's dropping, the transportation is dropping. I can assure you that means of livelihood will also drop to the barest minimum. It is not a death thing. It's not battered by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's an issue that has been on ground and needs to be addressed and must be addressed holistically. So let us look at it objectively.
Thank you very much, sir. And Engineer Barrister Helsinki, I can read from your body language that you have something to say, please.
The question is, are we just talking about, do you also, does he also know that in terms of to get food, it is a barter situation? Does he also know that in terms to get the basics of life, it is also a barter situation? Does he
Maybe
also
you educate
know,
me further.
Does he also know that the economy is itself, it is battered? You know, the worst thing is we should not keep pretending to ourselves. As it stands today, in this short period of time, I've been to like 6 different African countries within our borders here. And I can tell you our currency presently in the world, apart from Venezuela and one other country, is the worst performing currency in the entire world.
I stand against that completely.
In the entire world. An economist is here.
I take exception.
An economist is here.
Please, can you lend your voice on this?
And then, let me. Do you know that the Ghana cedis is 100% better than the Nigerian naira? Just one Ghana cedis is going to about 110 naira.
And then that is Tinubu.
No, that is to show his economic policies are coming directly to Nigerians. They instead of them elevating us, they are bringing us down. These are the things why we are calling for reforms and structural adjustments. He needs to rethink his economic thing. It is not. I will stop at that so that the economists can speak like to it.
Honorable Dr. Ojukwu, please, as an economist in the House, please, what do you have to say?
Like I said before, the problem today is purely economical. Politics, it has really dealt with us in this country. I don't want to look at the different political families and affiliations. The fact is that the economy is very badly shaped. One of the problems or one of the mistakes Mr. President made, I should call it a mistake, because if he knew the outcome would be like this, I don't think he would have taken those decisions. You know, they secretly devalued Naira. Over 90% of Nigerians didn't understand this. They did that with the CBN, and apart from subsidy removal, the basic function of the central bank is to control the money velocity. Now, these guys went secretly and ruptured our reserve to be able to cushion the effects of what had happened in the past, probably maybe from the former previous administration or whatever. But the fact that the present government went secretly to devalue our currency affected us heavily. Now it affected the common traders out there in the market. The purchasing power of Naira became nothing. People could not afford some of the things that they could have, afforded when this government hadn't come on board. And of course, fuel subsidy, for me, are basically the two major things I should focus on this administration: the fuel subsidy removal and devaluation of Naira. These two major things affected us in all ramifications. And my brother made mention of Ghana. Of course, I have understood the economics of Ghana. The current president, why people are applauding him, appreciating his policies, was because he looked intrinsically. He looked at the economy of Ghana when he came on board. It was as bad as Nigeria. He told them, he said, see, not all the things IMF and the world bodies tells you to do, you do. You look at your country, you look at the factors that affect you internally and say how to solve your problem. He looked at it. He looked at the gold reserves in Ghana, the oil and some of the resources they have. And he was able to protect their resources. And that was what helped Ghana
to show.
To be able to come on board.
That is because Ghanaians are patriotic. Hold on. Let me say this clearly. That is because Ghanaians are patriotic. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the governor of Lagos, he came with tax reforms and several other policies. It was strongly kicked against. Almost 80% of Lagosians then felt that he was coming with something that was alien to them. But the same set of persons, that, especially most of the people that persevered, after a while, he was applauded by the same set of people. That issue of tax reforms and every other economic policies that are coming up is widely criticized by Nigerians. But for me, if the like of Okonjo-Iweala could come and say, look, you have stabilized the economy, then I wonder what we are saying here. I wonder what we are talking
Sir,
about.
do you know the rate of
I just
inflation
wonder.
in this country today?
I
Do
just
you know
wonder.
the rate of inflation in the history of this country? We've got the worst inflation
The
rate.
inflation
Do you
thing.
know the exchange rate? What it
The
tells.
issue of inflation, sir. The issue of inflation prior to the coming of even President Buhari, I remember vividly well, that the present Emir of Kano, the present governor of Anambra, your state, and of course the same Okonjo-Iweala warned seriously against inflation if certain things were not done, and of course we gave deaf ears to it. And if those things had affected us the way they were, and of course had magnified the way it is today, and somebody is trying to fix. Let me give you an analogy quickly before I drop down. Now let us look at this building where we are seated here today. For instance, what the previous government have been doing, and people have been applauding, was what I call window dressing, or what I call rub and shine. But for instance, if we have a crack in this building here today, and I'm the president, and I come and say, look, I'm going to have a visiting president, and I just come and just plaster it and then paint it, and somebody can say, oh, it's looking beautiful. Does that change the fact that there's a crack in there? The answer is capital no. Now, a president has come that has been able to take the bold step and say, look, we need to get this thing right once and for all. Let's remove this roof first, and then deal with the internal issues. Get it right. Those cracks, let us solve them, and then bring back the roof. By the time you remove this roof, of course, the rain will fall in here. The sun will shine on us here. And that is where we are today, trying to deal with those issues that have lingered for too long for us to have a more stable and a stabilized country. And here we are, all criticizing. But I can bet all of us seated here in this house today that I buy from the same market where all of us buy from. The economy is hitting me hard as much as hitting every Nigerian. But that is not to say that we are not taking the steps in the right direction. All Nigerians need is to look at certain policies that are coming from this government and say, look, ABC here, yes, they are doing well. How do we support this to push? For instance, as an economist, your wealth of experience and advice will go a long way. It may not be directly, even indirectly. It can go a long way. But when we sit down by the corner and say, look, everything that is coming from a government of this nature is not making any sense, then of course we bring the country down.
Thank you very much, sir.
The question, my only addition to it is that, do we have an APC 1 and an APC 2? He's talking about the previous government before this. Is it not
when I say previous,
is it not a continuation?
When I say previous,
the question is that
government before them.
The APC-led regain, my summary, has brought penury and downwardness to Nigerians. That is the summary. There is no other grammar we can speak again.
That means you're not patriotic.
No, patriotism does not mean you must support a party that has led Nigeria miserably, where people are hungry and they have refused to listen. They are instead listening to the IMF that does not have the plan of Africans and the plan of African economy.
Yeah, we applauded the same head of IMF then. We did applaud her in this same country.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Dr. Ojukwu, do you see ADC as a true platform for change, or do you think it's just a temporary coalition of convenience?
You know, like I said before, I don't want to speak politically. The different affiliations could have their motives and the reasons why they're coming on board. Yes. But my specifics is purely on the economy, the welfare of Nigerians. ADC, it's an opposition platform. For me, opposition is part of the things that lubricates every political setting. If there's no opposition, you won't have good democracy.
That's correct.
Well, the people who postulated the principles of democracy tells you that it doesn't survive if you don't bring the principles of checks and balances. They're all parts and parcel of themselves. So ADC coming on board, if at all, it will be a very strong watch, not negatively, but positively. It makes the ruling party to sit up and, look at the wrong policies and decisions they've taken, which heavily they are affecting Nigerians.
Okay, in a program like this is an opportunity to lend your voice. What solution do you think can be done immediately to cushion the hardness that Nigerians are going through right now, being an economist, a seasoned one for that.
The economic policies of Mr. President, he has to change a lot of things. For instance, the leakage. The number one thing I must say is that this government must be sincere. You may have fantastic policy, but if you don't, like my good friend and a brother said, you see, in a house, if you don't cover the leakages, where the holes, cover the holes, you keep on suffering and suffering and suffering. You can't have money and you have a lot of leakages, and the next thing, they're all gone. So the government of today, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should be able to tell himself the truth, and his ministers. They should block all the leakages. That is what Ghanaian president did. And secondly, the policy team, from the Federal Ministry of Finance to Central Bank to IFIRS, the policy and finance team should be sincere to themselves. They should be sincere that if policies, they know this, they know the right policies to put on board. But because of selfishness and because of maybe personal aggrandizement, they rupture some of those policies. They know the truth. They know how these things works in other countries that are doing well. Look at China today. When China was having it bad, it took a president, I think President Xi Jinping, to intrinsically look and locked the doors for international communities and developed internally, and that was when they had internal productivity. The local factories became alive. There was a lot of, in 2-3 years, a lot of job opportunities were created. And before you know, you start seeing the effect from your economy, and your export to start going well.
Thank you very much, Honorable Engineer Dati. You are seated here representing the APC. Do you feel threatened by the emergence of ADC?
No, not at all. I align myself completely with Doctor here when he said, when you have a good opposition, it puts you on your toes. For us in the APC, we're happy that we have seen some Nigerians who have, of course, brought themselves together in opposition. That, of course, will put us on our toes, but we must remember that Nigerians forget easily. I have looked at the faces of all those in that coalition from A to Z, and I keep asking these questions. If you need to extract them one after the other, tell me that one man who had not contributed to where we are today. One out of those lots from our various states, from their various corners, who have not contributed to the trouble, the problems that this country is plunged into today. And yet today, because they want power, because they want to be in position, because they want to also come to acquire more wealth, and of course, at the detriment of Nigerians, they're in coalition. So I don't know how we are going to deal with that.
Thank you very much, sir. We will continue.
I've not
this discussion.
responded.
Yes. We really need to go on a short break now. Viewers, don't go away. We're coming back. Let's just go on a short break and then we continue our conversation. Thank you very much. Welcome back, our dear viewers. This is still issues in the news on 9 News Nigeria. We have been looking at 2027 and a lot of political things unfolding. And with me in the studio, we have Engineer Adaji, we have Honorable Dr. Ojukwu, and Barrister Samuel Hesinke Jr. We have been x-raying a lot. And before we left for the break, Barrister Hesinke,
Yes.
you wanted to contribute to
Yes,
what Engineer Adaji.
Yes, I got the grip on the story of the ADC and them being a coalition and opposition to the APC. I think to be very fair to the ADC, they seem not to have learned from the previous experiences of the Labour Party and the PDP. You cannot be talking about an election in 2027 or a future election without talking about electoral reform. It is. The funny thing is that we are here, if you remember, we are here at the last election where basically I was a participant. I did a lot of cases after the election, even pre-election and post-election. times, and I can tell you categorically, the present INEC, as it stands now, cannot give us a free and fair election. We need to be sincere to ourselves. I did mention that one or two of the REC members, or one, we still have a rogue INEC REC member who conducted an election in Adamawa, who has not been fully be apprehended and put into custody. Mr. Ati or whatever they call it. We still have that kind of person on the large. And these are salient issues, and we are talking about the 2027 election that is just like tomorrow here. And the ADC, they are happy. The coalition of former APC members and some PDP members, and they say they are coming to bring. They are joking. They are joking. They are actually joking. They are not. They are a bunch of very unserious people. What they should even do first is to make sure the nomination, the swearing of the INEC chairman becomes transparent. Someone who's automatically neutral. I can tell you categorically, if an election is conducted today, whether it is House of Rep, whether it is State House of Assembly, I can tell you that the APC will beat all political parties, blue, black, and dark. There will be no, they might even be lucky. They might not even get up to 2 seats.
Why do you think so?
It will be that way. It will be that way because of the way circumstances are now. Me personally, and this is my view, the INEC I saw in 2023, the INEC I saw at the post-election stage, you know, the funny thing about this thing is, in this coming election, there will be a lot of surprises. Even in the strangest of ways, where APC lost, maybe by mistake or they didn't get it right in those places, INEC will come to court and tell the court that election that the opposition won was not free and fair.
So what you're
You
trying to say is
will
INEC
see
is the problem?
they did
Do
it
you
in Aminu Chindo and the APC, and INEC did it to me, and I was shocked. I was dumbfounded. INEC came to court and said, yes, the election was election.
You have forgotten that INEC is the empire to such election.
Election you people conducted. Election you people I was for the first time in my life, I became afraid of Nigeria. I've never been afraid of Nigeria before. As INEC came to court and said the man was not qualified and the election was not free and fair. An election you conducted, that is what is going to, that was a glimpse of the future for us. And that is what is going to happen in 2020. So we need to sit down. I like what Randy Peters is doing. It's just I've not been chance. I've been so busy to invite him so that I could give him a clue, other advanced clues on how to go about this. You see, we cannot talk about our democratic process now in Nigeria because you know what I'm saying about this passionately. I've been on it. I've been on it for a very long time. Me and Mr. Femi Falana, we have been on this journey to see how we can bring sanity and electoral reform. And I think I should also praise Mr. Didi Adeyanju before Randy Peters started coming. I know a couple of years ago, we took Rhoda Gumus, who's an INEC member from Bayelsa, who was a card-carrying member of the APC and was elected into was nominated into the INEC board as a REC member. So these are the things. So with the way INEC is composed today, all of us, can we categorically tell ourselves that the opposition, they are serious?
Do you have confidence in INEC, Engineer Daji?
You see, when you talk about confidence, INEC is an independent body. And it would be unfair for you to join an independent body not to be a serious body. You must substantiate such arguments with very clear evidence. He said it happened in this case. I don't know when and how it did happen, but if it did happen in this case, then of course it should be one out of 1,000 elections that INEC has conducted. I want to say to him, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal practitioner, neither am I an economist, I'm an engineer. But I want to say very clearly here that in Nigeria, once election do not go your way, INEC is bad. If election goes your way, you applaud INEC. It's happening. You are in the media, you're all in the media, you've been seeing it. So all we need to do at this point is not about what INEC is doing. The same people INEC are returning are Nigerians. Now, I keep talking about patriotism. A lot of persons have made this assertion that this government is bad, that government policy is not good, this is not good, and have been given opportunities, and they have failed like no other person in the world. Now, what am I trying to say? I want us to do one thing first and foremost. Let us first be patriotic about this country. And how do we get patriotic? When people sit down and say, we want to Japan, we want to move out, and thank God, that is why today Ghana is saying, Nigerians, please go back to your country. South Africans are saying, Nigerians, please go back and fix your country. If all of us decide to stay put and salvage this situation and look at it holistically, because my children, your children, we are almost in my 60s, but of course we have children that are growing up. Some of them are undergraduates, some are graduates today. We need to leave a legacy in Nigeria of their dream for them. And how do we do that? It means all hands must be on deck. Criticism. I must say something. I must say something.
You just said.
I must say something. Please. Criticism. If you must criticize, please criticize in such a manner that the person you are criticizing will understand the aspect, the corner you're coming from, and will be able to correct those wrongs. No man is an island. No man has monopoly of knowledge. But when you begin to criticize because you don't like the face of Mr. A, or because don't like the way Mr. B moves, then it becomes unfortunate. And that cannot get us to where we need to get.
You have talked about being patriotic. Are our leaders patriotic?
The leaders, when you talk about leaders, who are the leaders? Who are the leaders? Excuse me, who are the leaders? Everybody is a leader in his own right. Even at home, in your community, in your environment, you are a leader. How well have you been able to change the narrative in your home,
in your community, let me narrow it down to the government of the day so that the citizens will follow suit.
See, but let me come in. What the APC-led regain, I know them very well. Though, apart from him, I don't think anybody in this studio understand the APC-led regain. I understand it. What they understand as patriotism is you not criticizing them.
No. But I said that earlier. I said let me be constructive. I said that earlier.
Or otherwise.
I said that in clarity.
You understand, sir? That is what they mean. They don't want a descended voice. They want the way they want their whole things to go. They want it that way. They don't want an alternative voice. And that is why there is a trending issue and there is a retrogressive step. People who have descended voices in this regime, they are being charged mysteriously to different courts. Yes, I can.
Can you throw more light on that?
Beautiful. There's a common example of Mr. Omoyele Sowore, who is facing every day from one court to another court, charges upon charges, because he's a descended voice. He merely is actually trying to criticize the obnoxious policies of policing in Nigeria. We have so many instances of persons who are speaking against this. In my state, the opposition members, they were gagged. In Edo State, there was Right Honorable Onobu, who because he was the only a PDP member.
That was in the state government,
the state house of rep. He was and they said he's a courtist and his house was marked.
That's not true.
His house was marked. The thing is still there.
That's not true.
His house was marked, and when his house was marked, he had no option than to decamp to the APC.
However, I can see you have.
Every political party in power always use their powers to subdue the opponent. It played out when PDP was in power. It's playing out today as APC being in power. There's no, even ADC, if they come to power, they will still do the same. It's a problem in Africa, not just in Nigeria.
How do we solve it?
And it can be solved. Very simple. If we are sincere. If the institutions can be independent, like you talked about INEC. Who believes, even a kid today knows that INEC is independent in paper, but in actions, they are not independent. INEC, there was a time I had a media chat with few of the correspondents. I said, INEC chairman today, Professor Mahmoud, is the worst INEC chairman we've ever had in this country. We had people like Ebe Gubadia, we had people like Maurice Ewu, we had people like Jega. But today, this is a man that even most of his commissioners, still speak in anger that he doesn't take responsibilities. Most times, 90% of his decisions, he delegates it out without taking proper considerations. And of course, there are a lot of court judgments. I have had some friends who got judgments for INEC to implement. They will not implement it. So you see, the solution is complete reform. There has to be institutional reform in this country. Let's be very sincere to ourselves. So that
the Nigerian police they are criticizing, as it stands today, is better than INEC.
Doctor,
It's better than INEC.
let me. You
Yes.
see my problem, man. The problem I have, I keep saying it, is the fact that we speak more than we can act. That is my problem. Now, in this same country, I'll diversify just a little. In this same country, it was all over the media. Please, let us give autonomy to the local government. Let us ensure that once that is done, everything will be settled, everything will be solved. Local government autonomy, this, that, and no whatnot. The president did not only assent to that, he went to the court, up to the Supreme Court over that. That has been granted. Today, as it is today, this government is one of the government that has pumped more money to the states, more money to the government, to the states. When I mean the states, it is there on record than any other government have done in the last 15, 20 years. Now, these monies that are coming back to the states, the issue of local government autonomy, yes, up to the Supreme Court, yes, it has been done. Where is Nigeria Labour Congress? I keep using this assertion. Where are they? They are expecting the same man who had done his bit, has done his part, has done what is expected to do, to still go back and enforce, having put committees in place to ensure that this thing is properly done. These things are not happening. The governors are becoming too autonomy, and the NLCs are not up to the task to say that, look, this must be enforced to the letter in every state. Where are they? Now, why are we dwelling so much on the center when even there are state governors? If today, sir, the state governor in your state, in each of our states here today, take responsibility for activities in their state, go out to deal with this issue of economy that we're speaking about here today, I can bet you that you don't have any reason to be at the center. Because if your state is good and things are working well, when you have your family house to stay without paying rent, when of course you could move around and then put your children in schools without having to move them from one point to the other, you'll be comfortable in your home. You won't be here paying so much money for rent and so on. But the governors, are they really doing it? Have the governors complained that they don't have enough money? Are they complaining that the government at the center is owing? The answer is no. So I feel and I think that it's the responsibility of each and every one of us to hold everybody in governance responsible and accountable to what they do. And let us stop dwelling too much on what is happening at the center, because the surroundings are also having porosity. They're also having issues. Few governors in Nigerians are working today, and people are applauding them. So why can't other governors do same in their various states? So for me, we need to look beyond the center and think about what is happening all around. And I can tell you, governors will be good.
Thank you very much. Barrister Samuel Helsinki, I'll come to you, please. What mechanism do you think should be put in place to ensure transparency and also fairness in the upcoming presidential primaries?
I've said it before. This issue you just raised, I cannot address it in 5 minutes. That is the honest truth.
You want 2 hours?
Yeah, you have.
Let's just hear what you have to say.
Yeah, it will be a topic for a full day. And I can tell you, there's no way I can use a language to address it. There are a lot of issues involved. I've been coming here. And you know, the strange thing about the things I've been coming to see here is that during before the election, the things I said, they happened. I'm not a prophet, but you see, you can dictate where these things are going. And I came there, there was a man from the Labour Party there who said, I said, no, this is where these issues are going. We know where they are going. It happened that way. The Edo election, it came again, and I said, this is where it is. Surprisingly, one of you called me and said, see, it's just like so. The same thing now, but the funny thing is, before the 2023 election, there are some of us who were always in different studios almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we are hoping that some of these people will have this brain, will have this wisdom, will have this insight to actually know where their problem is coming from. and we are trying to tell them to collapse their structure. Atiku will find a way to, but these ones they are not doing now. It's too late in the day. The monkey has given birth to the lion by miracle. So the only thing you can expect is to welcome the new baby. There's nothing. It's already too late. Even before you people could collapse the structure, he was not there. He won. Now he's there. He's the one to conduct the 2027 as the president.
Can we quickly peep at what is happening in ADC? We have a lot of
they are just saying,
politicians
with all due
there.
respect to every person there and to the man I call a leader, with all due respect to everybody there and the man I call my leader, I don't see them go. Although they will cause some shakings, they will cause some upset, they will send fears. Already, David Mark being their interim chairman, there are some politicians in Benin now who are already feeling. Yeah, it's not, you don't, in politics, you don't just say, rule it out. But you see, still, I don't see them taking the day. There is a fundamental problem. There is a fundamental problem. And the fundamental problem is INEC. You need to abandon INEC and you need to reform INEC. And you need to look at the internal mechanisms of how to regulate INEC. INEC needs to be reformed. I don't want to use a very strange word for the INEC because these are people I have had interactions with. I have met them in court and I know where their mind is going to. The INEC is not a fair and neutral and transparent electoral body.
Honorable, do you think that ADC can unseat the present president?
That's a very funny thinking, thoughts, because anyone in the system we have in Nigeria, any government in power has all it takes
Jonathan
to
was
win.
in power.
Yeah, Jonathan government, I think is a different. I should call it a different government, and of course the personality of Jonathan. You know, like Barrister said, somebody from outside was able to gain power at the center. Now the person is now seated as commander-in-chief. How do you think you will take the power out of him? We should all even pray. Let the two elephants not destroy the small grass cutters and the tortoise, because the way I'm even seeing the whole thing, if they are not careful, and if we are not careful in this country, Nigeria may likely slide into a serious political turmoil. There could be serious crisis in this country if things are not properly done, because President Tinubu may not likely give up. The opposition may also not likely give up, and thereby there may be serious chaos in the system.
Thank you very much, sir. Engineer Adaji, do you see the defection of a lot of people into the APC as a welcome, thing that is happening? Do you think it shows that the party is working and then people are needing to?
There is a song in the Christian song that said, "I have seen the light, the light of God." When you see the light, you see, my perception about all this is, I'm a Nigerian, I keep saying it. Just like you said, he has traveled around. I have also traveled in my own very little way. But one thing that is very important that we must note is the fact that if and only if we are a little patient, I can assure you, put this down, write it down, that there will be a tomorrow, a better tomorrow after today, with President Tinubu as president of this country. The man means well for Nigeria, he means well for this country, but the fact is that some of these economic policies and then decisions that have been taken, as you say, and that is why these people have been welcome, is the fact that we need to get it right once and for all, and not to play around it, dress it like in white, whereas it is still black internally. So he needs to bring it up in such a manner that once it becomes white, it stays as white.
So you agree that we need to get it right?
We are getting it right. It's a gradual thing that we'll get there.
Thank you very much, sir. Viewers, it's been a very, very wonderful time here in the studio as defection to the APC continues to thin the opposition elsewhere. The ADC's sudden attraction of top name suggesting a shifting tide in Nigerian politics. This topic, we cannot exhaust it in this edition. I encourage you to please head over to our social media handles Leave a like for us there, and also share your thoughts with us by leaving a comment for us. Gentlemen, it's been a very wonderful time having you here, and I hope we can do this again. We need to draw the curtains here. Thank you very much for coming to be a part of this program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, viewers.